Hi everyone, I'm Libby Bishel from ProWritingAid and welcome to another session in the ProWritingAid series for writers. Believe it or not, this is our 76th session since we started hosting them last March. We kind of just thought we'd host a few sessions to help writers connect with each other during this kind of crazy time that we're going through, but the sessions kind of grew and now we can't really imagine our community without them. So thank you to all of you for coming and for those of you who come to some of our previous sessions as well. So my guest for today's session is Tara Cremin. Tara is in charge of the overall author experience at Kobo Writing Life, the global DIY publishing platform that empowers authors to take their publishing career into their own hands. She's a subject matter expert on all aspects of indie publishing and aims to make Kobo Writing Life the greatest and most user-friendly self-publishing platform available. So Tara, welcome, hi.
Hi, Libby, thank you. And hi to everyone that's here. Really happy to get to chat to you guys today.
Great. We're super excited to have Tara here today because we know that loads of you in the ProWritingAid community are either self-published or are looking to self-publish your work. So the way that today's session is going to work is that I'm going to hand over to Tara in a few minutes and she will take you through the Kobo Writing Life software to show you all the brilliant features that it has to offer. And then at the end, and kind of if there's sort of any questions that come up throughout, I will be asking Tara your questions so that you can find out if this is the right software for you for self-publishing your work. So a quick reminder before I hand over, remember to put all of your questions in the Q&A box rather than in the chat so that I can see all of those more easily and get those answered for you. And I think that is it from me. So over to you, Tara.
Sure, thank you. And nice to see where everyone's coming from. I'm here in Toronto, so very happy to have one sunny day and, classic Canadian spring. It will be very cold again tomorrow and maybe snow, who knows. But so I'm going to share my screen real quick and just have a little information to share with you guys. So let me know if there's any problem seeing this, but if not, well, let's wait for it to load. There we go. So this is a ProWritingAid demo about independent publishing with Kobo Writing Life. And so I just wanted to give you a little bit of context about what Kobo Writing Life is, if you're not too sure. And also, I'm going to attempt to publish a book while we're chatting, but not just a book. I'm going to also publish an audiobook to show you how easy it is to use these tools. But if I can type quickly enough for just this hour, so we'll see. So my name is Tara Cremin, and as Libby mentioned there, I'm the director for Kobo Writing Life in English language. So I'm in charge of the overall experience for Kobo Writing Life and developing more features, and can often be found with my head in a Kobo. So if you haven't heard of Kobo, we believe that a life well read is a life well lived. Our whole ethos is to just make the reading experience the best that it can be. And as such, we focus on digital reading with just ebooks and audiobooks. So Kobo stands for books. Quite literally, it is an anagram of the word book. So there's some kind of just posts here about how e-reading company Kobo is fighting Amazon and Apple and Google for your time. So just showing you how our main competitors are some of the biggest companies in the world, and we're still able to hold our own among them. Kobo is also really proud to make some of the best e-readers that are available. I would say the best e-readers, but everyone has their own preference. But just highlighting articles about why the Kobo e-reader is the best on the market right now. And we release probably 2 new e-readers a year. And I would just keep an eye on any of our social for new ones that are coming out. And if you have any questions about the e-readers, I love using them, so I can definitely answer that for you. So what we like to try and think of ourselves as is the local bookstore perfected. So as I mentioned, we really just focus on digital reading. We do everything in-house, which is sort of unique. We're headquartered here in Toronto, but we have a parent company, which is Rakuten, and they're based in Japan. And that sort of gives us a bit of a global reach and just really gives us the support that we need to kind of keep functioning in Toronto. So our e-readers are designed in the office. So, I mean, we're all working from home right now, but back when the office was open, I could walk upstairs to talk to the architect and bump into the people that are maintaining our website as the ones that are also building out our apps. So it's sort of kind of just a really nice environment of people that are really dedicated to making the reading experience better, and just a building full of book nerds, really, which is a lot of fun to work in. So we do e-reading devices that are e-ink based, and then we also have apps available on iOS and Android. We're committed to readers, authors, and publishers. So we like to give everyone the best experience that we can give. And I think what makes us different and what really has led us to succeed in the digital reading market, especially against those titans like Amazon, Apple, and Google, is that we have a unique partner model. And this really helps to give us an unparalleled global reach. So for instance, very early into Kobo's existence, we're in our 11th year right now. So when Kobo was created, we realized quickly that success was needed through friends. So we partnered with Chapters Indigo in Canada, which is like the main brick and mortar bookstore. And then we've partnered with different partners throughout the world. So we sort of choose brick and mortar bookstores. So for example, we're partnered with Booktopia in Australia, which is not brick and mortar bookstore, but it is a bookseller, and we power their digital and audiobooks. But then we also partner with people such as bol.com in the Netherlands, and they're sort of like a Dutch Amazon, and we power the ebooks and audiobooks. So it's definitely like we're looking at areas to see where there is a gap in the market and where we can kind of leverage the success that these booksellers and sort of just commerce companies have in general. And it really gives us a global reach throughout the world. So one of our strongest partners is like Fnac that we have in France. We've partnered with WH Smith in the UK. And something that's really interesting, I think, is that when it comes to Mexico, there's two main booksellers there that are Perua and Gandhi. And rather than each bookseller independently try to get a foothold in the digital market and sort of compete with one another, they actually came together and partnered with us together, even though they would have initially been considered competition. And we were able to like give them digital content, or like at least power their customers for digital content. Just to leverage it so that they weren't kind of losing a battle to a sort of global company that was coming in. So just to show you a little bit of our global reach throughout the world. And like I mentioned, headquartered in Toronto, but we do like to leverage the local book experts, because while bookselling is very similar throughout, there's a lot of nuances. So we know this by having, we have people that work in London, a team on the ground in France, the US, the Netherlands, Italy, etc. So yeah, we definitely try and lean on the local book experts that we have. So that's all about Kobo, but let's move on to Kobo Writing Life, which is sort of my area of expertise. And Kobo Writing Life's ethos is that we believe in empowering authors to publish their stories and to share them with the world. So we want to help authors to get their books out to as many readers in as many countries as possible. And to do this, we created Kobo Writing Life, which is, it stands for writers, and it is a very easy platform to create and publish a book. So we have the steps to create an account, upload your file, publish, and then we also have options to promote to readers, because, you know, publishing your book is one aspect, but selling your book after that can sometimes be the more difficult part. I mean, I would argue that writing the book is actually the more difficult part, but yeah, we try and make this as easy as possible. And going through the upload your file and publish is what I'll be demoing today. And I just wanted to give you some context about how indie authors are changing the face of publishing. Being an indie author doesn't mean that you haven't made it in traditional publishing. If we're actually seeing people that are choosing to go the indie route, and this is because that they want to have as much control over everything as possible. A lot of these authors turn out books much quicker than it would take if they were being traditionally published. And they want to control everything, like their pricing, where they get it sent out. A lot of these authors are hybrid, so they might sell a series to a publisher, they might sell their audiobook rights or their print rights, and then retain their ebook rights so they can do all the marketing. So it really is changing the face of publishing as we know it. And to give an example of this, 1 in 4 books sold on Kobo were published by Kobo Writing Life. And this is English language. So that is like 25% of all of the books were self-published, which is really a huge number, and it's a huge part of our business. So just to give you more context to that, it means that KWL titles sell more units per week globally than any of the big 5 publishers. And part of this is because independent publishing has kind of opened the door for so many people. And part of it is also because we do look at things in such a global aspect. Canada is our biggest market because it's our home turf. But like I mentioned, with all the different partners, we do tremendously well around the world. And it's a big world, guys. I know we haven't seen much of it, but it is very big. Okay, so let's start publishing. I am going to switch over and show you guys how to get started in publishing. So actually, maybe I should do this first to show you the account. So you can still see my screen, okay? I assume Libby will tell me if not. But so if you wanted to create your Kobo Writing Life account, you could just go to kobo.com/writinglife and then hit on get started. So when you're creating your account for the first time, you're going to have to enter some information. It's a pretty easy sign up process. So I've kind of just skipped over this part because it's sort of not the main thing to focus on at the moment. But now you're in your account. You'll notice that we have a couple of notes up here just because we're getting ready for our Easter weekend and we want to let people know that we're out. You can like disregard these notes for now. So if you're creating your ebook, you want to hit on ebooks. Very easy to navigate. So these are some of my test books in the past. So we're going to go as simple through, so I'm just moving this to your new ebook, and you're going to describe. So you can see that there's 4 steps involved here. We have describe your ebook, and this is where you enter all your metadata. And the metadata for your book is really just the information for your book, but it's the key thing for digital selling. This is what's going to tell us everything that we need to know to sell your book in our store. So this is your title and everything, and we'll go through it here. So let's see. Ebook, ebook title, real snappy. You can have your subtitle here if you need, and your series name, which can be optional. If you do enter a series name, Kobo series, you have the option to enter your volume number. So you can enter 1, you can do 1.5 if you want. We also let people enter 0 because prequels are becoming increasingly popular. But this is really key for authors to enter because Kobo uses this to sell books. So if you, a lot of our writers are writing serialized content. So if you put the number in, if you forget to put this number in and you have 2 books in this series, we're not going to know that they're linked to one another. Like we're going to know that the series is the same, but we're not going to know that it's the next book in that series. So we say it's really, really important to put the volume number in here. And then one other thing to note is that when somebody has finished reading book 1, and if book 2 is in our catalog, we're actually going to prompt them on to the next book. So we're going to try and push them to the next content as much as possible. We also link it on the product page on kobo.com to let the reader know that, hey, you liked this and there's many more books in this series. So this is key information, I think, for selling books. So then you can add your publisher name, which can be your name or any publisher that you have, and an imprint if you have one. You can add another author if perhaps maybe this is a compilation or an anthology. You're allowed to add up to 50 authors here. And then we have our book cover. So all you need to do is click on this for your book cover. We don't help with the creation of book covers, but we have them. You just have to upload them afterwards. But if you are interested, we do have some recommendations of service providers that we work with. So this is the cover that I made really quickly earlier. It's not very much to look at, but it gets to the point. So we're using the Kobo prisms here and our logo. And so we're going to ask you if this is the first time you're publishing your book. More often than not, it's yes. But this is just to allow you to enter the old publication date. Perhaps this is the first time that your book is available in digital form. So if you wanted to just keep it clean and on the book page say that actually this came out in the early 2000s first, that you have the option to do that there. So you can also enter your EISBN. If you don't have one, you don't have to enter it. That's not a requirement for us. I know that many countries have to pay for ISBNs. They're free in Canada. I know in the States, where a lot of our authors are based, they have to pay for them. So it isn't a requirement to publish. If you don't enter one, we're going to assign you a Kobo ISBN, and you'll be able to recognize it because it starts with 123. And then we have the option of putting your primary print ISBN in if you have one. The reason that we ask for this is when we're sending your book to our partner sites, so say Chapters Indigo in Canada, If you have a print book for sale on one of our partners, we're actually going to link the books together so they know that this is the ebook version and that this is the print book of the same book. So that's why we're asking for that there. So we can add ebook language. So you can choose between, I think, all of the languages that are available and whether or not this is part of the public domain. So just meaning that if you own the copyright or not. If you don't own the copyright, then you just have to declare it here. So if perhaps you're publishing another version of some classic Dickens work, this is just to identify that. So you can choose up to 3 categories. My recommendation is that you use all 3 because it just makes your book more visible on the site. It's better for searchability because there's more terms. It helps with what we call the temperature of Kobo. Our search isn't just based on sales. It's actually also based on how many times a book has been searched for, how many times a book has been clicked on, if that author's been read. So all of this sort of stuff helps your book's ranking. So I can definitely recommend including 3 category options. So let's pretend that my book with ebook title is mystery and suspense. So cozy mystery, those are exceedingly popular at the moment. With a woman sleuth, good. Let's go general. So we're going to get captured. One thing to note as well is that the ordering is how it's going to be reflected on kobo.com. So I would put your main selling feature of your book first. So hold on. Yeah, the woman sleuth is really the main part of my book, and then we're going to put it in cozy. So let's do that. And then the synopsis is where you attempt to inform your readers. So this is just the description of your book. We give you this WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get editor here. So you can really entice the readers. So let's write something. So here is where I would definitely spend some time writing your synopsis and browse around to see other books that are selling well and how they're laid out. Some people like to use the bullet points to lay out kind of key points in the title. You can add different information, italicize, underline, kind of adjust the formatting here. I would keep it pretty simple, but you want to make sure that your synopsis isn't something that, you've slogged over your book and you're done and you don't even want to think about how to summarize it. A synopsis is one of the key features of selling your book, especially digitally, because that's what a customer is going to lean towards. So I would definitely make sure we have a few resources, and there's definitely some recommendations that I can give for people that advise on writing like really dynamite synopses. But I would definitely say that that is a key feature to spend some time in making sure you're writing something that's gripping. You're not giving away the plot, but you're giving away, not giving away anything really, but you're kind of just enticing the reader in. Like, how are you going to grab the reader to want to read this book? So now that we have all of our metadata entered, we're going to hit save and continue. And so this is going to bring us to where we're uploading your ebook file. So you can see that we accept EPUB, docx, Mobi, and ODT files. So we convert your file for free to EPUB, EPUB being the industry standard, and it also lets readers read on multiple devices. So obviously we would love for you to read on Kobo, but not everyone has a Kobo, but they want to buy a book on Kobo. So having an EPUB will allow them to like sideload to different supported devices. So if you have your file, so here I have my sample book. So I have a Word doc that I'm going to upload. So just going to hit this, open, and upload the file. And then it is going to go up really quickly. While we don't have a previewer, so this is just being converted to an EPUB. It says to come back later, but it really won't take that long. We don't have a previewer right away, but you can download and preview this book and see it as an EPUB. So you just have to open the EPUB itself. And of course, I have validation problems. Okay, so we're looking at these results. Something to note here is that it says that your book is ready to be published. These are non-critical errors. So what this means is that they are just, yes, there's something wrong in the packaging of my EPUB. if you are not kind of too in tune with like cracking an open EPUB and actually getting into the HTML, you can definitely just ignore these. It just means that some of our partners have a harder time handling this if they don't have the same EPUB check that we have. But if you're getting this green tick here, I would just recommend moving forward. Or if you really want to dig into it, email our team at writinglife@kobo.com and they will get through to how to fix these. So these are pretty easy errors, actually. It's just my image. My image has the wrong name. So I would just open my file and adjust that, but you don't need to. If you're not uploading a Word doc and you just have an EPUB file, that's terrific. If you've designed it through like a different area, you can just upload your EPUB right away and we don't do any conversion. So it actually keeps all of the formatting that your EPUB has. All right, so next we're going to go on to the rights and distribution option. So you get to set your license and geographic rights. So here you can click to apply digital rights management or not. So what digital rights management means, so we just call this DRM. It's preventing a user from, on an app, copying and pasting the text that is available. So if you switch this on, they won't be able to copy and paste the text. So it's completely up to you whether or not you want to use it on or not. There are debates in the digital community about how well it's kind of, not how well it works, but there is always a little bit of risk when you're putting something online that it can be made available. But for the most part, I would say just like, I would keep your digital rights on, and it just prevents people from kind of quoting little parts of your work. And then you get to choose your geographic rights. So if you own the rights in all your territories, you can just keep it on all. Or say, for instance, you're a hybrid author and you've sold your North American rights. So then you can switch out your North American ones and just keep publishing in all of our other geos. But for this example, I'm going to say I have all of my rights. Okay, so the next step that we have is to maximize your sales. We give you a little prompt here to opt into 2 of our programs for extended distribution. So we have Kobo Plus, which is the subscription program for Kobo. It's allowing readers in specific territories to read as many books that are made available as possible for a monthly subscription. So it's like an all-you-can-read model. So right now, so if you click this on, you can include everywhere there's Kobo Plus, or you can select the specific territories. So you can see for now that we have this subscription program available in Belgium, the Netherlands, and Canada. So you can choose if you want to make it available just in Canada or vice versa, or maybe you want to put it everywhere. I would recommend opting it in and trying it out. If you're going forward. I know some authors are sort of a bit hesitant about subscription programs, but there is no exclusivity. You can opt your book in and out or at any time, and you're also going to be able to make this available on any other platform. And we pay by a minute read model. So we're actually counting the amount of time that your book is being read and using this against the subscriber pool that we had and giving you your monthly reads. So I can definitely provide more detail afterwards, or maybe in another demo to talk about Kobo Plus. But for the sake of keeping this to an hour, I am going to keep going. But yeah, if you want any more information, you can also email the team. So one other option we have, and one that is becoming exceedingly popular, especially in the last year, is making your book available to libraries. And so our partner for library distribution is Overdrive. So if you would like your book to be in Overdrive's catalog, all you have to do is click here, and then you have to enter a library price. So what I would tell you about adding a book to a library is that you are selling a book to a librarian to choose. And there's 2 options how a librarian can buy your book. So they buy your book once, like a physical book. Let's look at this book that my friend just released today, which is very exciting. But so say if your ebook is going to a library, you actually want to sell it once, and we call it one copy, one user, because your book is going to go and it's going to be loaned out as many times as possible. So you want to price it higher than your ebook price, because that book is going to go to several readers potentially. So that's why we recommend usually the same price around as a mass market paperback if you were to enter your price. So I have $19.99 here just because I have used this before. So that would be my library price there. If you're worried about that being a bit too high for a librarian to take a chance on you, don't worry. We also have the option that's called cost per click, where a librarian can buy your book once, just one time for one read, and they can do that for 10% of the price. So if you have a book that's $19.99, a librarian can buy that and then they have that copy of the book to loan out as long as they would like to, or they could just take a chance on an author for a lower price. So you have both options available and you don't have to do anything to enable one or the other. But making your books available for libraries is a really good option, especially for authors. I know that sometimes authors mention to us that their readers reach out kind of like, I can't afford your books or I can't get access. Just letting them know that they're available in the library is great. Overdrive have an app that's called Libby and it's terrific. It's available in many, many different countries. It has great search functionality. And one other thing to note, actually, I totally forgot to mention, is that the Kobo e-reading devices, they have Overdrive integration in the e-reading devices themselves. So Kobo customers have really easy access to libraries, so they can loan books it's just very, very easy to do so. So if you're publishing to Kobo, I would say definitely opt your book into library as well, and you're just maximizing your reach. And what we find with these two options here is that you're actually just reading a new audience. So you're not just reaching Kobo and Kobo's partners' readers. Our subscription readers tend to read slightly different books. Our library readers tend to read slightly different books as well. So, and what I mean by this is when I go through sales reports with my authors, their top sellers in ebooks are not the same as the top reads in subscription. So I don't mean like different types of books. It's like the different books, they enter a series at a different time and things like that. So something to keep in mind. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling. I'm going to keep going. So hit save and continue on to the next step. And then you get to set your price. So I should mention the royalties the royalties for Kobo Writing Life. So if your book is set for $2.99 or over, you earn 70% of your book. We don't have a higher price cap, so you can price your book as high as you like and you'll still earn 70%. Obviously, we don't want you to be pricing your book at $300. But this is really giving readers an opportunity. Kobo readers really respond well to box sets. So say you have 5 books in a box set and you price them $5 each, you can make yourself a $20 box set of all 5 books, or say $25. And each sale that you get, you're actually going to be earning 70% on that. So that's something that's kind of a little unique to Kobo that we definitely wanted to bring back to the author. If your book is priced under $2.99, you receive 45%, and you can also set your book for free if you would like. We also have an option to set your book. I guess I can show you that afterwards. We have a price scheduling tool, but first I have to set the price of my book. So I'm going to set this $2.99 because this is kind of a short book and, you know, my cover image isn't really great. So I'm just going to set it at $2.99. Oh, I moved forward. So you'll see that we have all of these currencies available. The reason we give authors 16 currencies is because we really want you to maximize the global reach that we have at Kobo. So one recommendation I would have is that, so you'll see here that we kind of auto convert your books. I would like round these as much as possible. So we have a little suggested there, and just make sure that you're going in and hitting like the 99 endpoint. As customers, we're sort of preconditioned to respond well to a 99 or a 49-cent price point. So I would go through and kind of just like make these, price them up, because on each sale, you're going to earn a little bit more every time that you're entering the price, if you're rounding up rather than just leaving it to the converted price. Even if it's just as simple as this, moving from $56.31 to $56.99, the more books you sell, the more that you round up for that. So I am going to quickly go through the rest of these. We're working on a way of making this automated, so you don't have to go through this as one by one as possible. But for now, we can just do this. So one thing I would also kind of keep in mind when you're publishing your book. So we sell books in all languages. And because we sell in all these different areas, something to be kind of conscious of is make sure that you're setting a really good price for the areas where you're going to sell your book. So I would say that our English language areas would be, I'd recommend setting the USD price, Canadian, the Australian and New Zealand dollars, Great British pound, and euros would be sort of your main 6 currencies for English language. But think beyond your kind of other countries. So say if you were publishing in a French title, so you would definitely set euro, but you'd also set Canadian dollar for our Quebecois French readers. And I would also recommend setting your Swiss franc price because there's a lot of Swiss readers. The same goes if you were publishing a book in Spanish. You'd want to make sure that you're hitting your Mexican peso price as well so that you're not undermining things. And also your USD one there because there are so many Spanish readers in the States. So I would just not ignore all of the currencies. I know you might have questions about like, I don't really know what the price would be there, but that's why we give you the recommendation to give you the little kind of equivalent balance of value. So once you have set your price, you're going to save and continue. And then the last step we have is to publish your book. So if you wanted to make a pre-order, you can set your book as far ahead as you like. We don't have a limit into how long your pre-order can be. I mean, obviously I wouldn't set it 2030 because your readers are just going to like be desperate to get your book, but we don't have any limits, so you certainly could, even though I wouldn't recommend it. And then also you also have the option of like allowing your pre-order or not. So maybe you want to set your book to publish but you don't want people to pre-order. Maybe it's because your book is still for sale on another retailer or something like that. We do allow you to have the option for it there. I would recommend using pre-orders. I think they're a pretty valuable marketing tool. Most books that come through Kobo Writing Life have been pre-ordered or have been published as pre-orders, I should say. There's no real length of time that is, this is like, what am I trying to say? There's no like sweet spot in terms of length of time. Like a month isn't the go-to pre-order thing. Most people tend to do within 6 weeks, but it depends on your release schedule. So when you're publishing your book, you definitely want to make sure you're making a release plan and sticking to it. So you could publish a pre-order for 6 months ahead if you'd like. But you just got to make sure that you're actually going to hit your book and make sure you hit your pre-order date to have your book for sale then. But yeah, we do often get asked what is the best length of pre-order, and 6 weeks generally, but definitely just down to however you're going to release that year. So if it's if you're releasing a book, then maybe you want to really focus on your marketing campaign. So a longer pre-order might suit you better. So it totally depends on your book and the type of book that's coming out. So the next step that we have here is to publish your book. And I'm going to hit publish. And my colleagues are probably going to be like, why is Tara publishing a book? It's not working. Oh, publish ebook. There we go. Hitting where there isn't a button. Classic. All right. So it does say that we're going to go through a content review, which takes 24 to 72 hours. And then we will list your ebook in the Kobo store on the date you've chosen. In practice, it's much quicker than this. It would normally be up within 24 hours. And then so you can see your books here. We have a different section. So we have delisted books, which are ones that I've removed from sale, declined books if they've been rejected for any reason. And then here's my in process. Something I'm just going to go back in to show you is what I had mentioned about the price promo tool. Whoa. So when you set the price, we also have, it has to be published first. If I can do it, this is delisted. Disregard. I will just tell you that when your book is live on our website, if you wanted to set your book, say, for free for a couple of days or discounted, you could set your book for a discounted price. And we have this tool that lets you go in and sets the start date and the end date, so you don't have to worry about it. And you can also set it in as many currencies as you like. So it's just something to kind of get away, just give you a little bit of ease of mind, so you don't have to kind of go in and make sure to hit it on this date. Authors use it quite a lot if they're working with BookBub to have featured deals, so they want to make sure that they're putting the price promo through. So this was ebook, and what I'm going to show you real quick is audiobook publication, which I'm going to do here because this is a slightly different account. So if you wanted to publish an audiobook, if you happen to have one with us, you can also do that really, really easily. So you can see here that we have a couple of audiobook bundles based on our podcast. So we have a weekly podcast that's called the Kobo Writing Life podcast, and we're working on bundling the best episodes. So this is like episodes about audiobooks. So I have one ready that we'll go through. And this, you're going to enter the metadata in exactly the same way.
Sorry, Tara, I don't know if we can see that. Is it a different window?
Oh, wait, it is a different window.
I'm busy
no worries.
And then I realized.
I'm going to stop share. I'm going to come back. Should have popped up. Give me 1 second.
We've got,
this one?
That's great. Can see that.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Lovely.
Yeah, and I'll do this real quick. So there's an audiobooks button here. So you can just create a new audiobook. So you're going to enter your title again. So we have audiobook title, and all of the metadata. It's exactly the same as it was before, with some slight differences. So you can enter your narrator, your read by. So you can have your author, who is me. Can't spell my own name. So I was the author, and then let's say your narrator was Stephen Fry. I spelled his name wrong too. So if we're going to go forward to see who that is, and then we can have your synopsis that you would enter here to describe your audiobook, publisher name, imprint, and the same when it goes to publication date, release date. Again, with ISBN, you don't need to enter the ISBN. We'll assign one to you if you don't have it. You can select your language, and then your category list. And your category is a little bit, there's a different type of option here. So you can actually just search for the options that you want. So we're going to stick with cozy, and let's see our sleuths, women sleuths. Great. And some just slight differences with publishing audiobooks is that the cover image is square instead of being a rectangle. And that is just because it's going to be something to be seen on a phone. I'm trying to move this. So to design it for a phone, it's just going to be the square option. So I have my prepared cover image here, but if you don't have a square one, that doesn't matter. We're going to do what we call letterboxing it, which is going to make your rectangular book in a square. And then you can upload your audio files. So you can actually drag and drop a sample if you want. So it doesn't have to just be the beginning of your book. You don't have to. It's the same with kind of previews. We'd kind of recommend that you do. But one thing I just wanted to show you real quick here is the uploading of the audio content themselves. So as I'm doing a bundle of podcast episodes here, I have 2 episodes about writing, which one was about writing mysteries actually with Sarah Rossett, and one was with Dale Mayer about how she writes a crazy number of words a day. So what I wanted to highlight is that to make the audiobook table of content, which is really the key thing when somebody's listening to an audiobook, because you wanted to make them or enable them to navigate really easily. So you can put your files up and down. You can actually, when it's processed the upload here, you can play your file to listen to it to make sure it's the right one. And then drag and drop as many as you can. And then the order that these are in, which is going to be your table of content. And then you get to choose your rights in the same way as you did before, and then enter all of your currencies. So that was a very, very quick audio. I'm a bit conscious of time. Oh, and then I'd show you just what this is then what an audiobook looks like on the Kobo Writing Life store. So we have our different audiobooks and different about, this is the series information that I was mentioning that was really, really key. So I'm going to go back to my other browser. Can you see this, Libby? Yeah, okay, great. So one thing that I wanted to really highlight is that we have promotions available for our authors. So this is something that's considered in beta, so it's not available right away. If you have an account and you don't see this, just send our team an email. You can email us at writinglife@kobo.com for this to be there. You'll see that I get declined from my own promotions. These are just test books, so don't worry. But this allows authors to apply for kind of key features in the Kobo store. So whether it is a free page, don't be scared by seeing free here. This is purely because we get to curate this page and we do it every week. So that's why there's always going to be free content. So one of them, this is the most popular promotional option, which is a daily deal homepage placement. So this is to apply for our coveted daily deal spot. So I can show you what this looks like. So your book can be featured in the main spot of kobo.com. I can get it to load properly. So if we go to ebooks and then deals, this is the daily deal feature here. So we let authors really take advantage of the features that are available. And then some of the other ones that are there, these are all free. Apologies if I'm going through these too fast. These are all the free page. Oh yes, so we do a lot of bundles and promotions around box sets. So we have an option to be included in a box set sale. So you might notice a difference here. In the daily deal, there was an upfront cost just because it is the most popular spot. And then with some different sales we have, it's actually just a 10% discount. So instead of you getting 70% on every sale, you would get 60%, you would forego an extra 10, and then your book would be included in our bundles and box set in Canada and the US. And what this means is that you'll be featured on a page on kobo.com, but your book is also going to be included in emails that go out to customers, and not just that go out to customers, but that go out to specific customers that have asked for these emails. So it is a really, really great way for Kobo authors to kind of gain traction on our site. And we're really happy to answer any questions about promotions or people getting started, or and not always just discounting, and how you can really promote a full price book as well. I'm happy to cover that. So I'm going to stop sharing. We have about 15 minutes left. So I saw some questions come through, so I'll go through and answer if that sounds okay.
Yeah, sounds great. I've kind of been writing them down and grouping them up if you'd like me to sort of.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so we've had loads of questions. I think people have been really engaged and really enjoying the session. It's really interesting. So a couple that we've had are about where you can publish, or where else you can publish if you are published on Kobo. Can you have a book on Kindle and on Kobo at the same time? Can you publish a book on Kobo that you've published through a traditional publisher? With the audiobooks, can it be on Audible and on Kobo? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on your rights. So let's say with an ebook, and publishing it on the other platforms that are available, we don't have any exclusivity on Kobo. So if you publish an ebook or an audiobook, we let you publish it anywhere you like. That's not a problem with us. So where the kind of question would come through is, are you publishing exclusively on Amazon? Because if you are, then you're not going to be allowed to publish with Kobo. And the same goes for Audible, although Audible just have changed a lot of their rules around exclusivity. I believe it's only for 90 days now. So then you can publish after the fact. So that's something that you could really use our pre-order tool for, that you don't want to have a pre-order, but you want to publish on a certain date. Some of our authors use that when they're out of exclusivity. So something to note there. And yes, you can also publish if it's been traditionally published. It just depends on if you own the rights. If you own the rights, you can publish wherever you like.
Brilliant, great. So I've got somebody asking specifically about how they could publish on Wattpad and then publish through Kobo, and what kind of the process would be there.
Sure. Another Toronto company, Wattpad, is a great one. It's based here as well. Wattpad is more for kind of short form fiction. It depends on what you would want to write. If you're using Wattpad to write something chapter by chapter, which some authors do when they're getting started, that might be a great way of kind of writing your first book. So you could then put that book together and put it on Kobo. We don't have a problem again with you having it available on Wattpad as well. But Kobo's less, our readers are less looking for the short form content. It's more just like a full ebook themselves. But yeah, you could definitely use both platforms together. And yeah, Wattpad is a great friend of Kobo. We have a lot of former Kobo people that work over there, and they're doing great stuff.
No. Just from that, if I can find my train of thought. Oh yeah, is it mainly fiction authors that publish on Kobo, or can non-fiction authors publish? And there's sort of textbooks, different.
Yeah, it is everything, honestly. The majority are fiction. I think that that's just kind of a lot of the genre fiction is what independent authors tend to publish themselves. But it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. It's because traditional publishers are less inclined to look for that content. So if they were, they would look for more. But there is no restriction as to what you can publish. We do have an awful lot of nonfiction as well, especially with audiobooks. So audiobook nonfiction is definitely very popular, especially say if you were writing something where you were the expert and you could actually narrate it yourself, because I know people really respond well to that. So no, we definitely take them all. What I would say with ebooks is that it is sometimes easier to publish fiction just because the flow of the ebook itself is just text. It's just reflowable. Whereas nonfiction books can sometimes be a little bit more complicated, where there could be like footnotes or graphs or things like that. But there's a lot of great tools that could help you create a really, really good nonfiction EPUB. So yeah, no restrictions at all.
Great. Are there kind of any common formatting problems when you're kind of converting to EPUB? I guess with a fiction book or with a non-fiction book, really anything that crops up a lot.
Yeah, from Word, there are definitely some common problems, like something really simple as return. So, making a new paragraph. So like learning about what a soft return is versus a hard return. That can be kind of complicated because if you're using like a word processor, like Microsoft Word, you're not actually looking for the hidden formatting. So one thing that I would say is to hit the formatting button and actually look at what is in your book. I don't know if I have an example of that. I'm going to let me hear. Oh yeah. Okay, let me share real quick. I'm going to kind of shame myself for this was my sample. Can you see this? So this is my sample book. But the key that I would say is this is your formatter and it's going to release all the hidden stuff here. So you can see that I've used hard returns. If I was, or those are soft returns actually. If I was using a hard return, it would be this arrow. And just to let you know about like different spacing and stuff, if you use spacing like this, just to like, so sorry, what I was doing there is, so we have my name. So I'm trying to move this to paragraph it. When this converts to an EPUB, because you've just used the space key, we're actually going to lose this. So I would definitely make sure you're using the formatting of the indents to help with that. We have some information on our help center. So if you're in the Kobo website and hit the help button, there's a lot of good stuff there. But yeah, definitely it's just formatting. I would just make your book as simple as possible. Don't focus on headers and footers because we ignore them. And really think about it as an ebook is reflowable. So an author can, or sorry, a customer, they can increase the font, they can decrease the font. So just something to be aware of. You might make the prettiest book on Word within one page, but that's not what it's going to look like on an e-reader or on a phone.
Great, thanks. So another formatting question: if you publish through draft to digital, how does that kind of work with Kobo? Can you access, sorry, just getting this one as we go because I know it's relevant. Can somebody that's published through draft to digital access their book if they open an account with Kobo?
No, unfortunately not. So Draft to Digital is a wonderful company and they're really good at getting and distributing your books into many, many places. They distribute to Kobo, but all that means is that your book is going to be available for sale on the store. You won't have access to some of the different features that we have and some of the different royalty rates that we have, because money is always really key. So you would need to come direct with us. So also to have access to any of the promotions, you would have to come direct. But it is very easy to switch over. It's not like you need to get rid of your book on Draft to Digital. All you have to do is opt out of Kobo. I believe it's just a little check mark, and then you can publish directly on Kobo Writing Life. And we also can transfer any ratings and reviews that you might have had from Draft to Digital. We can move those over to your other books, so you don't need to worry about losing those.
Oh, great, Cool. We've had a question about reviews actually, and how they are hosted on Kobo and what they kind of look like, and how you can interact with them.
Yeah, they're hosted internally, so it's just on kobo.com that we have the reviews, but we prompt everyone that finishes a book, whether it's on the app or the e-reader itself, to write a review. But so if you browse the site, you can kind of see what they look like there.
A couple of like geographic considerations that people have been asking for. So with the geographic rights on the form that you were filling in originally, can you change those after publication? Can you go back in and change them?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the wonderful thing about independent publishing, is that you can update, change things as much as you like or as little as you like. So you can always go back and change anything. Yep. We have, even with the formatting, I have an author that I talked to before, and she was saying that she rereads a lot of her older books and like updates them so the technology has changed. So if one of her protagonists had like a BlackBerry, she would have gone back in and like made it all an iPhone. So really it's limitless. I don't think you really need to be that detailed, but just something to consider.
I feel like if I was a writer, I would be that writer. If you publish your book in English on Kobo, will it be in English everywhere? It doesn't sort of automatically translate it for different markets?
No, I mean, I wish we could automatically translate. That would be amazing. But no, it is just in English in the different markets.
Cool. And
I should have mentioned that also in terms of language, actually, Kobo Writing Life itself is available in 6 languages. So it's available, like you can access the site in French if that's your first language, or Spanish, etc.
With the pricing form, is the exchange rate the kind of only factor for pricing there, or would you recommend kind of adjusting for cost of living or yeah?
Yeah, the exchange rate is kind of just like we just do that to give you a little bit of a hint, but I definitely would recommend doing some research on pricing. So for example, like a really common example is like the US and Canada. For an awful long time, that was dollar for dollar. It really isn't now. You know, you might be based in the States and feel like you're punishing your Canadian reader by putting it $1 or $2 more. But what I would say is that 1, we're used to it up here. And then 2 is that Canada, really consider where the market is. So Canada is our biggest market and where we're selling. So I definitely consider that. Whereas that pricing may not be the same as the pricing that we would see in the UK. So one great thing about the Kobo store, so at kobo.com, you can actually browse all the other storefronts. So when you go onto the website, there's a little flag that's at the top, and it defaults to where you're located. But if you click on this flag, it shows you all our other storefronts. So what I would recommend if you're curious about pricing is to find a book that's similar to yours and actually just see what they're pricing in the different currencies. And you can browse and see what they're doing and just sort of compare it that way. But yeah, I would definitely recommend researching and at least in those key currencies that I mentioned, like the 5 or 6.
It's always nice to have that reassurance. Oh, they've done that. Maybe I can
exactly. You're like, just like, oh, I'm not nuts, am I?
Couple of questions about audiobooks. Kind of question, what's Kobo's share in the audiobook market?
It is growing. We're relatively new to the audiobook market, and it's such an interesting thing to follow, especially as podcasting is making everyone so interested in audiobooks. We see Spotify moving into it, and you know, Kobo's really keeping an eye on stuff. So it's kind of a smaller share that we have right now, but it is definitely a fast-growing market. And like, given the advent of smart speakers and how many people now own them, I think audiobooks are just going through this huge boom that I can't foresee stopping.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely listened to more over the last year. It's just perfect time.
Cleaning my house, you know, just always having something to listen to.
Are the royalties the same on audiobooks as they are for ebooks?
No, they're slightly different, just given the size of the audiobooks. So something I should have mentioned actually as well is that the audiobooks also publish in the same amount of time, because again, we're doing everything in-house, we're hosting the files. So with some different aggregators, it can take a few weeks for your books to get on Kobo, but when you come direct, that they can be a lot quicker. So if your book is priced between $2.99 and $31, you receive 45%. If it's priced below that, you receive 35%. And if your book has been redeemed by a subscription token, you receive 32% of the cost price. And what I mean by the token is that's for customers that have signed up for a monthly subscription and they get a book free a month. So if they choose your book, that's a token download option.
Cool. Had a question about Kobo Plus as well. Does it pay the same rate across all territories, sort of per minute?
No, it actually varies because we take the subscriber base in those countries. So our subscriber base in Canada won't be the same as the Netherlands. So it's based on the customers that are there. And because we're doing the value, it comes down to the value per minute. That's how we're deciding it. It will vary each month. It kind of roughly stays the same. But yeah, it will sort of vary. But no, we do the value per geo.
Had quite a broad question, but kind of what makes Kobo sort of easier to use than sort of trying to get by on the software that you've kind of got on your computer to put a book together, or just trying to piece together all the different stages rather than kind of...
I mean, I think with book creation, if you have the software and have a finished file and are sort of like tech savvy enough to do that, I would use that file on Kobo. That would be my recommendation, because, you know, you're using that and you know it's good. What makes Kobo different as a retailer, the main thing that I would say is kind of what I mentioned at the beginning, is that our focus really is just on the digital reading process, like making reading better. It's all we do, it's all we sell. So we're not trying to get customers into our ecosystem to then sell them something else. We just want to sell them another book. So that's why I would say is kind of our key differentiator.
Had one where I thought I didn't understand the question and now just have, because it said TOCs and I thought terms and conditions, table of contents.
Table of contents, yes.
How are tables of contents handled for EPUB files when they kind of go through that conversion process? Is there any particular way you need to set them up or anything?
Yeah, it depends. If you're using Microsoft Word, I would just make sure that you are highlighting your chapter titles and just making sure in your, you can select what type of content it is, and just make sure you're making it a header, because that's what's going to tell us when it's converted into an EPUB. That's going to tell us that this is a chapter heading. So if you don't have that, it's harder for our software to know. And then we're going to auto generate the table of content within the e-reader and within the apps and stuff for people to use. If you're already making a table of content at the beginning of the file that's kind of clickable and navigatable, that's totally fine as well. But I would just make it really sure that your chapter titles themselves are kind of very clearly chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3.
Is there a system, just got time for a couple more questions. I'm actually just going to quickly drop some links in the chat just to bookmark or about sort of ProWritingAid events, and then also a link to find out more about Kobo Writing Life as well. But while we're still here, is there a system for sort of content warnings in Kobo? So adult content or any sort of trigger warnings or anything?
Yeah, so we have our content policy, and that's across the board. It's the same for Kobo, regardless of whether you're coming through Kobo Writing Life or something else. So the way that our content works is when your book is uploaded, what makes us a little bit different as well is that we actually have people like looking at the books. It's what I used to do. I used to be on the operations team, so it's like cracking open all the EPUB files and looking at them. So we balance like algorithms, but also using humans. So we definitely are looking for problematic content, and anything that is against the policy won't be published. And like, that's that. Our policy can be easily found on Kobo. But then we kind of, so we balance it with kind of like algorithms telling us, but we actually have people looking at it as well, because I know it can be a problem of books being misclassified too, but it doesn't tend to be a problem that we encounter.
Cool. I think we've got time for just one more, just we're on the hour, but is there a minimum word count for ebooks being published?
No, not at all. It can be as large or as little as you would like. What I would say is that just be conscious of your pricing in terms of word count, because customers can be kind of a bit confused if it's a shorter book. But to make sure that doesn't happen, what we actually do on kobo.com as well is if you browse any product page, we estimate based on the word count how long a book will take to be read. So that kind of gives the customer a bit of a leeway into like, this book's going to take you like 2 or 3 hours to read. So no, you can upload whatever you would like. It could be a book of poetry that technically has very low word count, but is 50 pages. But yeah, no, we have no limitations.
Okay, lovely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and for showing us Kobo Writing Life. I think that everybody's found that really, really useful. It's always good to sort of actually get a feel for what a software is.
Yeah. No. Yeah, happy to be here and chat. And if you have any other questions, you can email writinglife@kobo.com. And a top tip is if you put Tara into it, I will get those emails. It'll go straight to me. So yeah, if there's anything that you wanted to follow up on, I'm happy to kind of chat there.
Great. Thanks for coming, everyone, and we will see you soon at another session for writers. Okay, thanks, Tara.
Thank you. Bye.